Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and are done wrong. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Rob Shear with the Phoenix Police Department's Public Affairs Bureau. The information, audio, video, and pictures you are about to see are intended to provide details, as we currently understand them, of an officer-involved shooting that occurred on February 22, 2023. This video may contain strong language as well as graphic images, which could be disturbing to some people. Viewer discretion is advised. This incident occurred in the area of 23rd Avenue in Glendale when a Phoenix police detective was conducting follow-up of a domestic violence aggravated assault at a home. During the follow-up, the detective saw a man who resembled the suspect of the aggravated assault. He requested backup from patrol officers. Here is the portion of the radio traffic of his requests. Charlie 744 is the call sign for the detective doing the follow-up. 245 is the radio code for aggravated assault.
Charlie 744.
Charlie 744.
You give me another unit, please. I got a 245 suspect that's sitting out front. MC Yukon. Charlie 744. Just let units know that more than likely he's going to be armed.
Several patrol officers responded and searched for the vehicle. Ultimately, it was found nearby unoccupied. Officers continued to search for the man in the area. A physical description was given out over the radio to help in the search. Here is another portion of the radio traffic, including the description. 673 Tom is the call sign for one of the patrol units working the search.
Charlie 744, what's his full description?
Black male, 5'6". She thinks maybe about 160. It looks like from the last photo, or from what she's telling me last night, he might have like a full beard, goatee, either bald or shaved, bottom on top.
673 Tom just spoke with a witness. Said he saw a black male, white shirt, jeans, black shoes at the address that jumped the wall heading westbound.
As the search continued, a two-man patrol unit was driving south on 23rd Avenue from Glendale. They saw a man matching the description of the suspect. The man jumped a fence into the parking lot of an apartment complex. The officers followed as the man positioned himself behind a white pickup truck. As officers approached, they saw the man with a handgun in his hand and heard one shot fired. One officer fired in the direction of the man. The officers' body-worn cameras captured the interaction. Body-worn cameras are used by all officers assigned to patrol and several specialty units. Per policy, they are worn at mid-torso level and capture the view of the line of sight from that perspective. It is important to note that the camera lens is fixed and does not capture everything seen or experienced by the officer. When activated, both audio and video turn on. The body-worn camera has a buffer of video without audio for 30 seconds prior to activation. This feature is designed to capture incidents that happen suddenly where an officer doesn't immediately activate the camera. Here is the body-worn camera video from one of the two officers who spotted the man.
What the fuck, bro? I saw someone just jump over the fence. Where? Right there. 670. Hold on. 670 what's on. We got him here. Contact!
Under the car, it looks like there.
Here is the body-worn camera video from the second officer on scene.
What the fuck, bro?
I saw someone just jump over the fence.
Where?
Right there. 670.
Hold on. Just! Cover! 999. 999. Shots fired at officers.
Officers used less lethal tools to encourage the man to come out from behind the truck. The individual did not respond, and the officers moved in. A firearm was located where the man was detained. He was treated by the fire department, but died on scene from his injuries. Preliminary evidence from the scene suggests that the man died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. None of the shots fired by the officer hit the suspect. No one else was injured during this incident. A firearm was recovered near the man's location. The officer involved in this incident is assigned to the Desert Horizon Precinct and has approximately 9 months of service with the department. This incident is the subject of a criminal investigation to be reviewed by the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. It is also the subject of an administrative investigation. Conclusions about whether the shooting that occurred on February 22nd, 2023. This video may your discretion is advised. This incident occurred in the area of 23rd Avenue and Glendale when a Phoenix police detective was conducting follow-up of a domestic violence aggravated assault at a home.
Domestic violence aggravated assault. When dealing with domestic violence issues, people can act very irrational. It's said that fear is something that can rob a person of any reasoning. And that could be true. When someone is literally scared to death, they can do irrational things, like people who are drowning, or boat sinks, rescuer comes out to them. The person is so frantic, so scared that they climb on top of the person trying to rescue them, and that action alone causes that rescuer to be pushed underwater. They will accidentally murder the person who's come to save them. But it's more than just fear that can rob a person of reasoning. It's also the feelings that come with these intimate relationships. People do not think clearly a lot of times when it's involving their significant other and they are jealous that something has happened, the person has cheated on them, etc. People will go off the fucking rails. And domestic calls are historically one of the most dangerous things that law enforcement can be involved in. It is where lots of officers are injured and are killed. I think it's probably safe to say that more officers are injured and killed going to domestic calls than they are going to bank robbery calls.
During the follow-up, the detective saw a man who resembled the suspect of the aggravated assault. He requested backup from patrol officers.
The detective who was going to do a follow-up on this domestic assault, in my opinion, should not be going there alone. If there's a follow-up to be done, it needs to be conducted in the same way that a hot call for domestic would come out. 2 officers. Just because the person is not listed as living there and they say that, they don't live there, it doesn't mean that person won't be coming around. That person could be coming around in an unknown, unscheduled time. You never know. So the detective should have had someone with him, in my opinion, when he's doing a follow-up in the field, going to talk to a witness over a domestic assault type of incident.
Here is the portion of the radio traffic of his requests. Charlie 744 is the call sign for the detective doing the follow-up. 245 is the radio code for aggravated assault.
Charlie 744.
Charlie 744.
You give me another unit, please. I got a 245 suspect that's sitting out front. MC Yukon. Charlie 744. Just let units know that more than likely he's going to be armed.
All right. So he's put out this call for these other officers to come help him, and that the dude's probably armed. So for the officers responding to this call, they should now be in the mindset that they are now going to a high-risk call. It's in relation to a domestic assault, and there's an armed person, potentially armed person. That means rifles should have been made ready. This two-man car, the passenger in the vehicle should have got the rifle out and ready so that when they jumped out and made contact with this armed person, they would have a rifle to deal with that threat. A rifle is better than a pistol. If you know you're going to a gunfight, bring a rifle and bring your friends with rifles. Rifles are more accurate and the terminal ballistics are way better. They stop threats faster and more effective than a pistol. Unfortunately, that's one of my biggest chief complaints, one of my most negative reviews, I guess, when it comes to these videos, is officers neglect to get their rifles out when they need to be getting them out. I contribute that to a training problem all across the board. I don't think there's good enough recent, relevant, realistic training going on with rifles, and also all across the board with everything with instilling a good fighting mindset for officers. And some of it is administratively responsible too, in some places. Just stupid policies and stuff in place.
Fuck, bro. I saw someone just jump over the fence. Where? Right there.
Contact!
So if the passenger would have been able to get out of the car with a rifle, it would have been a whole lot better. But instead, they both got pistols, and they both have red dot equipped pistols. I don't know much about Phoenix police. I don't know if these are agency issued things or they just allow officers to have them on them. There's agencies out there now that are issuing these things out to people if they want to have them, and they're still allowing people who want to stick with iron sights to stick with iron sights. They might be a large enough agency where these are issued items. And that is an emerging trend. You're starting to see more agencies adopt these red dot sights on pistols and are budgeting and securing the funding to give officers red dots on their pistols. And that in itself, that's not the only expenditure that is going on with this. One is the red dot, the cost of it, and then the pistol that it's going to go to. So you're either going to have to buy a pistol that's already pre-made to accept it, or send a pistol off to have it modified to accept it. Then you got to have the holster for it, and then you got to have the training for it, because it's not an easy transition going from iron sights to red dot. So there's a lot of money being invested in these kind of things. I think that, and it's hard to say, but definitely within the next 10 years, this is going to be more of the norm. It's going to get to the point where new recruit classes, new academy classes, will be solely focused on red dots. In some states, you're going to have multiple agencies using red dots, so many so that they're going to outnumber the iron sights. And so the academies will adapt, and they will start having their classes be red dot classes. And I would say that there will probably be two types of classes at the academy. One where they do red dots for everybody who's going to be getting a red dot pistol. And then for those some agencies who are still holding out and they can't afford it, etc., there will be iron sight only classes. But eventually, it will get to the point where it's just going to be all red dot. When that will happen, I don't know. I mean, it's probably another 30, 40 years before that happens, because you're still going to have people who are going to be holding out and sticking with the irons. But I think as time goes forward, we're going to see more and more red dots. And eventually, you won't see any officers using guns that don't have red dots on them, unless it's a backup gun. And I wouldn't be surprised if at some point there's changes and breakthroughs made to where backup guns will have fucking red dots on them. There's a lot of pros to red dots. There's some cons to them, but there's a lot of pros to them. It is the way of the future, I see. I don't want to say I'm a dinosaur, but for older guys like me, I would like to be able to transition over to red dot, but I just don't have the funds for it. I don't have the funds to go get another whole brand new pistol for it, get the sight that I would want to get for it, get all the new holsters for it, and then go through all the training to get more proficient with it before, adopting it for actual carry use. So until I have a whole lot more disposable income, I'm going to be sticking with what I know best, iron sights, my big dot sights. But just know if I had enough disposable income, I'd be rocking red dots. And I do fully support the utilization of them and it becoming, like I said, more the norm. There's a lot of pros to them. Anyway, moving on.
Contact!
So he yells cover, and they both turn and run. Not the greatest. I think someone could have still maintained cover while the other moved, and then once the other moved and got to a good set spot, communicate that they're holding cover, and then the other person move and get out the way. I like how he is reading his environment, kneeling down and looking up under the vehicle to try and get an idea of where this guy's at.
Under the car, it looks like there.
Here is the body-worn camera video from the...
What the fuck, bro?
I saw.
officer on scene.
What the fuck, bro?
I saw.
So he obviously made like a sudden stop and turn, and the passenger was not prepared for it. I don't know what this is they have on the dashboard here.
Somebody just jump over the fence.
Where?
Right there.
It looks like carpet or like floorboard panels, not panels, floorboard mats. I'm assuming because out in Phoenix, the desert and everything, like this is probably a better option with the sunlight beating down on the dashboard and it being so hot. Other than that, I don't know what else this up here could be and what's it for. It could be for a simple glare reduction too. Could be the dashboard has a more shinier surface, and that this cuts down on that glare and is better for overall eye safety. That would be, I would think that would be the most likely reasoning, but other than that, I don't know. I don't live in a desert environment. It gets hot humidly down here in Kentucky, but it's not. I know it's not the same hotness out there that they get with that dry heat out there and the sun just bearing down on them like it does. If you have any insight into what this rug material is and what's it for, I would really like to know.
670.
So please leave a comment in the comment section about it.
Hold on.
Just cover. 999. Shots fired at officers.
Officers used less lethal tools to encourage the man to come out from behind the truck.
So I think that is a great tactic. Once you get into contact and rounds have been fired, you get into the scenario where you've created distance, you've taken cover. I think, and there's like this stalemate thing going on, and the person is not responding to verbal commands. They're not coming out. They're not even responding at all. I think that the safest tactic is what they're doing there, using less lethal tools to try to get a response out of the guy, to try to get him to comply. So if that means they can see a portion of him and they can fire a beanbag round at him, fire a 40 millimeter impact munition at him, fire pepper balls at him, do it. See if you get a response. Because you don't know if that person is playing possum and is waiting to ambush someone when they come around the corner. If you hit them with a beanbag or an impact munition or a pepper ball, there's going to be a reaction. Unless you hit them and a round hit their spine and paralyzed them below that point, and that's where you're hitting them at, is below that point. You know, you shot them in the back, or you didn't have to shoot them in the back. You shot them, the round went through the front of their body and hit their spine, and boom, paralyzed them from the waist down. If you shoot their leg with a beanbag, they're not going to fucking feel it, so you're not going to get a reaction out of it. But if they are playing possum and you hit them with that munition, they're going to jerk. Right? Like, they're going to react to that pain. It may not make them comply. It may not hurt enough to make them come out, but they will react to it. So it's a really good tactic, in my opinion, to ascertain whether or not that person's playing possum. And if they're not playing possum, if they get a reaction, if they're not, if there's no reaction whatsoever, then, you can start to make that approach. If they have a reaction, if they jerk to that happening, and they refuse to come out, continue to use more or less lethal. They can sit there and bleed. They can sit there and bleed while they refuse to cooperate. That's on them. That is on them. If they want help, if they want the bleeding to stop, they'll comply. They'll come out. If a person ends up bleeding to death during this whole process, oh well, so be it. They shouldn't have fucking pulled a gun on the police. They brought that problem upon themselves. That's a problem they can deal with on their own. Because I don't see the need to unnecessarily put officers at risk to approach a person and that person end up laying there in ambush waiting to take an officer out with them before they die. It's unnecessary risk. Let them lay there and bleed until they complied to come out to get help to stop the bleeding. Simple as that. So what was this guy doing back at the scene of this domestic assault? What was he doing out front with the gun? Was he going to kill the person that he was in a relationship with and then kill himself? I don't know. I have no idea. It's possible. So it's possible that a person's life was saved. It's possible that a murder-suicide was averted. And it's also possible that, the guy was just there to make amends, and he always carries a gun anyway. And he didn't have that gun just to, use it against his significant other. Not much else to say. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.